Having learnt about how monarchs, religious authorities held the print revolution with suspicion in our last lesson, let us now talk about one such person who believed that this was a revolution. This was a revolution in the sense that the printing technology introduced the masses to new ways of thinking, and at the same time the printing technology gave people a medium to voice their opinions against all kinds of oppression and suppression. So this discussion now brings us to the German priest, theologian and writer Martin Luther. Now in the year 1517, Martin Luther wrote a long list of propositions that came to be known as the 95 Theses. But what was the subject of the 95 Theses? And how did Martin Luther contribute to the debate and the discussion that was going among the church and the royal authorities pertaining to the impact of the print revolution? Well, this polemical work or this very satirical work criticized many malpractices and rituals of the Roman Catholic Church. Now the members of the Roman Catholic Church indulged in different kinds of indulgences and luxuries, and at the same time the Roman Catholic Church also instituted many kinds of oppressive practices. But the people of Europe had been aware of these malpractices of the Roman Catholic Church since many centuries, but they did not have a medium or a site to voice their opinions. And finally, with the print technology facilitating the spread of new ideas, Martin Luther now wrote the 95 Theses. And a copy of this 95 Theses was posted on a church door in Wittenberg, which is in Germany. Now, by posting the 95 Theses on a church door, Martin Luther now called the church for a debate and discussion with him. Now, before proceeding with this lesson, let me ask you a question. Who wrote the polemical work 95 Theses that criticized the Roman Catholic Church? Was it written by Martin Luther, John Calvin, John Locke or Desiderius Erasmus? Well, the correct answer is Martin Luther. He wrote the long list of propositions that came to be known as the 95 Theses. Now let us learn about how this 95 Theses criticized the church and its policies. Now Luther's ideas in the form of the 95 Theses spread like wildfire among the masses, because after many centuries of being oppressed by the clergy and the Roman Catholic Church, people now got a way to voice their opinion. And it was the print technology that facilitated the spread of idea, because many copies of the 95 Theses now reached the masses. They were able to reflect on their own condition by reading the 95 Theses. Now Luther's ideas spread so widely among the masses and this gained such huge momentum that it led to the Protestant Reformation in the 16th century. Now this Protestant Reformation was a reformation from within the church itself, and this was a crucial moment in the history of Europe. This Protestant Reformation posed a direct challenge to the papal authority. Now what do we understand by the papal authority? The Pope of the Roman Catholic Church is held of great importance and power over the people of Europe, and it is his authority which cannot be refuted at any cost. But this Protestant Reformation, which was happening at the sphere of religion, now posed a direct challenge to his authority. And at the same time, this Reformation split the Western Church into two halves. So now came into being the new movement that was known as Protestantism. Now the Protestantism was very different in ideology from Catholicism. The Protestants held the opinion that it is through one's faith in God solely that one can achieve salvation. But the Catholics are of the opinion that it is with one's faith in God along with the good deeds that one performs that a person will be able to achieve salvation. So we can understand that the Western Church was now split into two halves on the grounds of ideology, and this happened as a direct outcome of the publication of the 95 Theses. So can you understand how important the print revolution was? Because had there been no way of spreading the ideas of Luther among the masses, Protestantism as a movement would not have come into being. People would not have questioned the papal authority. They would have continued to exist the way they had been doing for many centuries. The Pope would have been presiding over the Western or the Roman Catholic Church as he had been doing. So no new way of thinking would not have been brought into the minds of the people had the print revolution never happened. So the print revolution was not just a technological change. Instead, it drastically altered the socio-cultural, political and even religious landscape of Europe. Now at the same time, Luther also translated the New Testament of the Bible to German in the year 1522. Now whatever Luther was publishing at that point of time was gaining great importance and momentum among people. And it was so popular among the people that within few weeks of its first publication, 5,000 copies were sold. Now this was not a time of modern technological advancements. So considering the epoch in history, the sale of 5,000 copies was very huge. And over time, within 3 months itself, a second edition of this translated New Testament came out. So from this we can understand how rapidly Luther's ideas were now spreading among the masses and how rapidly the church's authority was being questioned by the masses. So while on the one hand the monarch as well as the religious authorities were afraid of the spread of print, Martin Luther held the print technology as a humankind's blessing. He considered this a boon to humankind because without print revolution and the spread of print technology, his ideas would have never reached the masses. In his words, printing is the ultimate gift of God and the greatest one. So from this we can understand how he considered the print technology as a blessing to him. And it was with the help of the print revolution that changes were now coming in the existing social orders throughout Europe. Now the ancient religious authorities were now being questioned and challenged as we just discussed. And with the print of popular religious literature, people now came up with their own distinctive interpretations of religion. Because earlier on they did not have any way to interpret religion in their own terms. Earlier on, whatever was said and mandated by the church authorities was considered the final say. But now new kinds of literature were being printed, which is why people were now coming up with their own interpretations of religion. And the most important point that we need to keep in our mind in this regard is that when these new ideas and new interpretations of religion were coming up, these were often not in line with the traditional religious beliefs. Because the traditional religious beliefs were being contested by these own and subjective interpretations of religion. And a very good instance of this is something that we learnt about when we talked about the print of the 95 Theses, because that was Luther's own interpretation of religion, and likewise different people were coming up with their own subjective interpretation of religion. So can you understand why the religious authorities were suspicious of and intimidated by the spread of print technology? Because they thought that these people were now spreading irreligious ideas among the masses. These people were no longer holding the traditional religious beliefs as sacrosanct. So this was the reason why print was now seen in two lights. Firstly, it was seen as a kind of blessing to some people, while at the same time it was held with suspicion and fear by a whole lot of people. Now look at this illustration closely. Around this time, following the Protestant Reformation, many such illustrations were coming into being. What can we make of this illustration? Well, you can see that some printers are at work here and skeletal figures are threatening the printers. Well, these kinds of illustrations were the ones which were popularized by the religious authorities. The religious authorities considered the print culture or the print technology as completely evil, which is why it is now represented by a skeletal figure. So the printer is under the influence of these evil skeletal figures. It is almost as if these figures were there to end the world. These figures or this print technology was there to completely end the existing social order, which was held of great importance by the religious authorities. So these kinds of illustrations were being popularized by the religious authorities simply out of their fear of the spread of printing technologies. So continuing the discussion that we have been having on the interpretation of religion in one's own way, let us now talk about the Italian miller named Menocchio. Now Menocchio in the 16th century came up with his own interpretation of the Bible and the creation of humankind. Now these were very sensitive issues because the Bible is the religious text of the Christians, and at the same time this creation of humankind is something that has been elucidated in the Bible. And these were ideas that were not meant to be refuted and contested by the people. These were ideas that were supposed to be believed with utmost reverence by all Christians. But this Italian miller came with his own interpretation, and this now severely enraged the Roman Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Church was in no way willing to accept new interpretations of the Bible. So what did they do? The Roman Catholic Church now started its Inquisition in the 16th century. Now what do we understand by Inquisition? Inquisition was a set of institutions which were meant to root out the heretics. Now who do you think were these heretics? Heretics were people who held opinions and beliefs which were contrasted to the traditional religious beliefs. So heretics were the ones who contested the religious authority. And the Roman Catholic Church was reluctant to accept the heretics coming up with their own interpretation, which is why this Inquisition was started. Now during this Inquisition, many people who had their own opinions were severely punished by the Roman Catholic Church. So as you can see here, the punishment was very severe. They were executed for holding any heretical belief. And likewise, Menocchio, among many people who were deemed as heretics by the Roman Catholic Church, was executed for holding heretical beliefs. So this was a very oppressive system that was instituted by the Roman Catholic Church in the form of the Inquisition. Now at the same time, the Roman Catholic Church was also not willing to leave any stones unturned in stopping the spread of print technology. If it had been possible for the Roman Catholic Church, it would have completely stopped the printing of new books, but it was not able to do so. Instead, it now started maintaining an index of prohibited books from 1588, and all this was done in order to shield its authority and suppress and remove any kind of dissent and dissident ideas. So what was this index of prohibited books? In this index of prohibited books, all those books which were not in line with the religious ideas, all those books which had ideas which were non-conformist in natures were listed, and the masses were not supposed to access or read these books. So in this way, the Roman Catholic Church was responding to this fear of the print of spread. So with this, we come to an end of our discussion on the impact of print revolution. We looked at both the sides of the coin, as in we took into account how it was considered a blessing to many people, and at the same time how this was considered an evil force, an almost death-like thing by many religious authorities. So in a subsequent lesson, we will be focusing on how this print revolution and the spread of print culture eventually gave birth to many new reading publics. We will also focus on how the print revolution eventually caused the spread of ideas throughout Europe. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. You can also register for free at DeltaStep.com or download the DeltaStep app to learn one-to-one with our amazing teachers, or to get access to all our 5,000 plus amazing videos as per your school syllabus. Master each topic with our adaptive practice technology. Get million plus questions with step-by-step solutions and unlimited mock tests. Get all your doubts resolved instantly. Learn via games and win amazing prizes like PlayStations and iPads. So at DeltaStep, learning is not just fun and easy, it's rewarding too. So register for free now.